Are you tired of seeing your favorite fighting game die? Are you, the person watching, tired of seeing lobbies say 0 out of 64? Are you tired of having to go into a Discord to even find games for your favorite fighting game? I don't know where I was going with that, but I do want to talk about fighting game player retention. Yo, what's up everyone? It's Daikin here bringing you another fighting game video, and today we're going to be talking about fighting game player retention. Essentially, what developers can actually do to sustain their games as far as keeping a average player base level higher than normal expectancy of fighting games as of late, because we all know fighting games go through a different cycle. The cycle happens and games just start to die down. Well, what do some of the successful fighting games do differently than the other ones? So let's go ahead and start thinking about the actual fighting games themselves and exactly what they bring to the table as far as the actual package. So we take a fighting game here, for example. I just happen to be on BB Tag here, and just look at the actual package of what they have here for us to actually do. So this fighting game has some pretty standard stuff of what you expect. They have the story mode, the episode mode, the training mode, the versus mode. This is where you play against the PC or people. The tactics mode, this is basically where you learn the mechanics of the game, and then the survival mode. So the main two solo modes in the game are going to be the story mode and the little survival mode. And of course they got a little gallery and the replay theater. And of course you can customize your stuff for when you go online. But that's pretty much it. That's the base of this game, and it's a base of a lot of fighting games when you think about it. Most fighting games probably have a story mode, a time attack mode, training room, teach you how to play the game. Maybe they'll have a combo trial thing too, and then they have their online features and stuff like that. That is the base of what fighting games typically have. So what is this cycle of fighting games we're talking about here? What happens with fighting games? Well, essentially you guys already know, a brand new fighting game comes out, right? Say Street Fighter 6 actually comes out. It comes out and everybody's on it, right? Everybody and their mother is playing Street Fighter 6. After a while, the games start to slowly die down, even though it's still pretty hype. This natural occurrence of games is when they come out, everybody plays it, and then slowly people start to dwindle down. And then to keep the hype going naturally, the developers make DLC, or they give announcements and stuff. And these are things that are supposed to basically re-incentivize people playing the game again. So when a new DLC character come out, people are hyped. They want to try out a new character, especially if it's someone that looks interesting or a fan favorite or something. Everybody wants to get on the game and try that character out. And then once the character comes out for a little while, then the game starts to die down, and then the developer's like, hey, let's put out a balance patch. Now all of a sudden your character that you really like is a lot stronger. So you're like, cool, all right, now I want to play the game again. I want to see the new tools that my character got. So these are just the type of situations that you are probably experienced in seeing developers do to try to keep their player base at a steady level. They always like to try to do balance patches and DLC as their main source. But there's another good source that some good fighting games actually do, and I want to mainly talk about NRS games. Now, NRS games have a fantastic package when it comes to their games as far as how they actually like to try to keep their casual audience invested inside the game. And how do they do that? With their solo modes. Solo modes are so important. Now I know people, us competitive players, people that just mainly care as long as I have training room and online, I'm good, right? But if we want games to continue to thrive, and we want to have a nice casual base, or just have a nice player base, just people playing the game that can actually pull even more people into, this is where those games come in handy. Now this is a little bit of a weird talk about, just because of how it works, right? Because they have a huge casual player base, but when you look at the tournaments, they don't have a lot of people actually entering tournaments, and that's a whole different conversation we can have another time. But just talking about the actual casual numbers for this game, and I shouldn't really even say this game, I mean just NRS games in general. So Injustice, Mortal Kombat, you guys get the deal. But basically what they do, obviously they have a huge budget story mode, right? So there's not just an episode mode where you do the arcade mode or something like that, because a lot of fighting games still to this day is rooted in the arcade era. They still come out as if they're arcade games. A lot of games, even though they're coming out on console first, and there's not a really big push for the arcade era anymore of these fighting games, they're still coming out as if they are arcade games. And the one company that is pursuing it as an actual console game is definitely NRS. NRS understands that these are console games, and they make their games and develop their games in that aspect. They have that in mind when they make it. So they have these huge budget story modes. They have the crypt, which is almost a game within this game. If you look at Mortal Kombat 11, as far as how the crypt is implemented inside of the game now, it's it's just the collectible things, the collectibles that you just see here, that you can actually do. But instead of just going to an item shop, and then inside the item shop you just spend your currency that you do from doing fights, and you just get the stuff, they make it into a whole experience within itself. So they just have that. And then of course they have the towers, and they have all the customization options of your characters and stuff. And I know that's a little bit harder to do with certain games, especially with ArcSys engine, because of how they do their lighting system. They expressed it before how hard it is for them to actually do costumes and stuff like that. But you know, there's just some other type of ways or some other cool things that they've done in the past could definitely help them keep core audiences invested inside the game. For example, Guilty Gear Xrd had the mom mode, which they took. It was basically a mode where you can actually put moves on characters that weren't similarly there. So like you can put like Gunflame on Zato or something like that. You know, you could just put other moves from other characters on your character and customize. You could have like hyper armor and all these different types of crazy things. BlazBlue has another good example. Every character had an unlimited mode. So unlimited mode was basically like a hyper crazy version of every character in the game. That's no longer inside of Central Fiction. So these are modes that have been in previous versions of games that ArcSys has made, but just aren't in the newer iteration. It's just weird. Like, we're going backwards. Like, why are we taking out fun things? Yes, it's cool, you know, that we have great online now, the games look good and stuff like that, but sometimes people just don't always want to be sweaty. Sometimes we just want to have fun, man. Sometimes we just want to have fun game modes to have and play with our friends, and these are the type of things that can help even ease casual players into the game as well. It's just a more fun thing, you know. Sometimes they just want to relax, they still want to play the game, but they don't feel like getting beat up all day. Well, now they can have some pretty cool modes that they could go in and play now. So yeah, basically I truly believe that outside of DLC characters and of course balance patches, single player modes is the next biggest thing that keeps player retention high inside of games, and that just shows the testament of the actual continuous sell numbers and the actual player base for NRS games and titles like that, because it has a huge casual player base, and like, you know, a lot of people just don't understand why, and I do believe these are the reasons why, outside of course people just loving the IPs that NRS has developed. Of course, you know, Mortal Kombat, and of course using DC characters for fighting games is of course something that keeps people there. That could be a testament to Dragon Ball FighterZ player base as well, right? It has still a nice casual player base just because of the IP itself. So that can be held accountable as well, as far as a legitimate statement that someone can make. But the other things that are there in the core of this also are there as well. And I believe Dragon Ball also tries to make a couple modes. I mean, it had a huge story mode, and then they have like those little events like the boss modes and stuff like that you can do and stuff like that. They have like some other things you can do. I believe you can do like single player fights and stuff like that, or you can like do like tournament. I think it's a tournament mode and stuff like that game, if I'm not mistaken. There's like stuff like that you can do, the tournaments and stuff. So they have a couple of different things you could try to do inside of that game that makes it a little bit more than just like the usual aspect of what you could think inside of a fighting game. So yeah, I just wanted to have this quick conversation with you all talking about fighting game player retention. Let me know down in the comments below really what you guys think about this. How do you guys feel about the overall cycle that fighting games go through, as far as like the hype when the first game comes out, slowly start to die down, and of course we get the balance patches and the DLC characters start to rise again, and it slowly dies down, and you guys know the cycle by now. How do you guys feel about that? And also, what do you think that developers can actually implement inside of games that will help increase the average player retention rate that we see inside of games currently? Definitely want to know what you guys got to say down in the comments below. Anyway, if you like anything I had to say, drop me a like, I greatly appreciate it. And if you want more from me, follow my socials. Also, don't forget to subscribe and turn notifications so the next video goes live. As always, my name is Dyken, and I'll see you next time. Signing out.